This is Bottom of the Bill.
Yeah, guys, welcome to another episode of Bottom of the Bill. It's been a great weekend, holiday weekend. Before we get to this week's guest, we're going to do our weekly check-in and just see how everything's going. So, Chris, why don't you start us off?
Let's do the holidays first, right?
Yeah.
Thanksgiving just happened. It was great. I went up to the Carolinas, rode up with my aunt and uncle, and then we did our whole Thanksgiving lunch and stuff, and then just chilled around the house.
Thanksgiving lunch?
Yeah, we do lunch there where we come from.
Is that like a cultural thing, or it's just your family?
We're just hungry, dude. We gotta eat. No, it's funny. That came up during dinner. So we've always, our thing is like, we wake up, we put on the parade while we, get our stuff ready. We'd go to our grandparents' house and we'd eat by like 1.
Okay.
And then we're passed out the rest of the day. We're asleep by 4.
Nice.
But then one of the family members was talking about how, this is the first time we've gotten the whole family together since like 2019 through COVID, and then the grandparents passed, so like everyone was kind of spread out. But we're like, all right, we got to get everyone back together, like extended family kind of thing. So we were doing lunch, and someone was talking about how over the gap they went to their friend's house, and they're like, yeah, they're a dinner family, and like we just hated it. Like we went through the whole day, and they wake up late, and then they cook through the lunch, and then they eat at dinner. That's insanity. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And I kind of agree with it. Like, you eat until you fucking explode and pass out, and then you just chill the rest of the day and fall asleep by like 8.
This would be a good unpopular opinion.
Really? So
Thanksgiving is more of that you like Thanksgiving for lunch.
Oh, I mean, that's what the holiday is.
I like the dinner thing because it allows you to have more time to just hang out with people before you get to the food.
So that's what you do. Like, the day is like part of the day. You like get there early, you have coffee, and part of the thing is making the food.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go like everyone brings a dish. There's way too much food. You all have to cram into one kitchen to make it happen. So it's like a moving puzzle pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And then food's ready. You sit down and eat and do the thing. And then you got the rest of the daylight to like do a Thanksgiving hike. We do a hat walk where we all put on a hat and then just go walk around.
Interesting.
Just tradition. What you gonna do? It's been before my time. It'll be after my time too.
Yeah.
And then this time we went and like shot guns in the backyard and stuff. And then the sun went down and we like put on Elf and we chilled. So like,
nice.
What do you do during the day? You just like hang out in the morning and just like small talk, and then you cook all day, and then the sun's down. Like I don't understand.
I didn't go home. We didn't go home for Thanksgiving this year. Chelsea's family came up and we spent time with them. And shout out to her brother Shane, who cooked some fantastic steak. We didn't do turkey or anything.
I'm jealous. That sounds awesome.
It was good. I'm not usually a steak guy, but I always say that. But whenever I eat steak, I enjoy it.
Of course.
But I don't go like out of my way to order it or anything. But it was very good. And obviously like stuffing and potatoes, all the rest of the stuff, is amazing. But typically when we go home, like up until a couple of years ago, we did Thanksgiving at my dad's house. And it would be like the extended family, friends, and everybody would come over. But we spent the whole first part of the day cleaning the house. And then people start to get there around, 3 o'clock or whatever. And then while everything's getting made. And then like typically we go out back and we drink, we play dominoes, we just talk shit, Mm-hmm. And then by like, 6 or 7 o'clock is when we start to eat. And then afterwards, we have like pie and then like espresso or like Cuban coffee or whatever. And then you keep the party going until like usually the old folks will go to sleep. And then it's me, my cousins, like, my brother, sister, and, everyone else. We're all like up late. And my friends usually come over towards the end, and we'll all be up till 2 a.m. just partying.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was like an all-day thing. But we've had some family die and move away, and things like that happen. And then that now it's like a different thing at my dad's house, and we've just been staying up here.
Yeah,
and we go down for Christmas now because like Noche Buena is like the thing with like my stepmom's Venezuelan, my dad's Cuban, so like we celebrate Christmas Eve, and then wake up in the morning, do gifts, and then the rest of the day is just whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You guys are the one with noise ordinances down in Miami, but we're the ones calling it a early night. I just don't get it.
That's true. Yeah.
We're out on a 300-acre farm, and we're done by like 10.
Yeah, but dude, like because the culture is so Latin down south, like everybody's doing what we're doing.
No, that makes sense. I get that part of
Yeah.
it. It's just it is so funny how wildly different it is, because like we do the same thing like when we're like the folks are cooking, like we'll go and drink coffee or liquor and go sit by the fire and catch up, see what everyone's doing, then we eat. And we keep it going. Like we the cousins put on a good buzz during the day and had fun, and which made the gun part really, really fun.
Oh boy.
that was a riot. It's the perks of having your own gun range on your land. You know what I mean?
Don't drink and shoot guns, kids.
Don't do. We're experienced. You guys are. All of you watching are not. I just know that. The best part of the gun thing though is there's to call it an airport would be insulting to airports, but there's a little dirt strip where planes, like small prop planes, will take off. So somebody was doing some flying around, and so we're shooting, and we look up, and there's this plane really low.
Oh no!
And it's flying over us, and it's waving, it's tipping its wings. We're like, oh hey, how's it going? And then he points directly down, cuts the engine, and just starts free falling right at us, and then starts spiraling. He was only at maybe 500 or 600 feet when he started this. He falls halfway down to like 300, kicks his engines, and then just flies over our heads.
Nah, dude.
It was
that.
the wildest thing. We were all screaming and shooting off guns. We were just like, whoa, that was insane. It was the wildest thing I've ever seen a pilot. He's just like, there's some people in a field, watch this.
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm like, it for a split second, I'm like, we should move. We're about to get hit by a plane.
Yeah.
Like that kind of vibe. It was like, man, he's really, really falling right now. Like we should clear out. And he literally just like, I'm gonna fuck with those guys, and just dove a plane right on us.
Oh no.
It was a good time. And then, he leaves and we're blasting off shotguns and stuff, being like, yeah, that was awesome, this and that. And he's probably dodging pellets up in the air. And
Jesus Christ, dude.
it was a good time.
Oh my God. Some fucking redneck shit right there.
Yeah, you got to do it when you go home.
At least in Miami, like, well, it's actually kind of worse because down south everyone's out shooting guns, but it's like populated suburbs.
Well, you're pointing them at each other. We're just
still shooting up. No, we're pointing them at each other.
We're just having some good old Southern fun.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And also a little racist, but it's okay. So, anyways, you stayed up there all weekend.
Yeah, so I came back down on Saturday. I was playing with Patrick Evans. He had like a private party that goes on every year. So flew back down. The flights were a little wild. Got back in town, grabbed my stuff, and went straight to this party. It was Eric Davis on bass and this cat Josh Green on drums.
Oh hell yeah!
Nasty band. We played 3 songs and it just starts raining.
Oh
so
shit.
Then we just cut and went home. So a shame. So that was Saturday. It was all right though. I had an early church gig on Sunday.
Did you guys get paid still?
We did.
Nice.
Yeah, they took care of us. They roast a whole pig.
Oh yeah.
So we did a whole pig, and everyone brought food, and so like we got sent home with trash bags of pork. I mean, it was just like, well, here's your money, and sucks you guys came all this way. Here, just eat and this and that. I'm like, it's in San Marco. I'm 5 minutes from my house. This is awesome.
Nice. Yeah.
So it was super cool. Good gig. The vibe was really fun immediately, so I wish we could have actually played music, but it was good to link with Josh again. I hadn't played with him in 7 years or something like that. So that was really cool.
Yeah, he's great, man. I played with him once, not on a full gig. I just sat in with him, Shane, and Jared Bell. It was Shane's birthday gig a few months back. Maybe, yeah, it was earlier this year. I sat and I met him and played a few tunes with him. He's a funny guy.
He's a great dude.
Yeah.
Real, just good hang.
Yeah.
So that was a blast. So I wouldn't mind airing out some personal grievances.
Let's hear it.
On that I've been working with.
Before you do this,
yeah,
I just want to shout out to Shane Platten, and Sean Totten for having me on their gigs this weekend. It was a lot of fun. Those guys are great pros, obviously, and it was just fun to work with them. Nice, man. So like y'all just kind of put together gigs. Like they had the gigs booked. They had them booked already, and then Jared Bell was out of town, so I filled in for him, and it was just we We played at A1A, which was fun, and then we played at my place the day after, which was that gig. I felt like we were really, we really, especially the first couple sets, we were really locked in.
Nice.
And the energy just felt good, so it was cool. I just wanted to acknowledge that before you go on to your grievances.
Oh yeah, it's all good. Totally. So I rarely would do something like this. However, I feel like it's the time and place of where I'm at.
It's been a theme the last couple episodes where we've aired grievances, so
yeah,
might as well keep it going.
I got no problem doing it. So I've been working this church gig since Gene was the tech director there. It's probably been like 5 or 6 years. And from when I got there, the vibes were immaculate. We had a crazy good band, good leadership in place. It's been a great work environment. And the past few months have been kind of building up some tension. There's been some changing in the leadership. And the past month specifically has taken a dive bomb of a turn. So our friend was working there and she got let go out of the blue, and that totally shifted a culture in there. So I have been really considering walking just on principle, man. And the reason I bring this up, remember I was working the factory gig, the plastic factory?
Yeah.
So for those who don't know, over COVID, there's no gigs, so I found some work at a plastic factory, and it was work, you know what I mean? But there was I had an issue working there, and really working for people in general is, I'll follow the rule. Like if it makes sense, I'm about it. But when people start getting to where they want things done just because they want it that way, there's no real anything to back it up. It just starts to bother me. I don't work well in those situations, like never have. And so this church gig is starting to feel like that plastic factory in terms of just like hostility and like you do what I say or your ass is on the line kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, man. I don't work well in those situations. And like church gigs are such a part of what musicians do, to like round out their weeks and stuff like that. But when one goes south, you got to call it what it is, even if they're that, crucial to your day to day or your week to week.
What's happening? Like an example of what's happening that's making you put them on blast.
Things like the canning this person, a good friend, and then then turning around and lying to the congregation, like not owning up to like, hey, we want to go a different direction, or we want someone that's going to do X, Y, and Z. They told everyone like, oh yeah, she's leaving to go pursue creative endeavors and this and that. Like people came up to her and asked her if she was like moving or this and that. She's beloved there. Mm-hmm. And like the kind of culture is built around the talent. Like, and when they announced it, audible gasps across, like no one could believe this was happening. And that's kind of reaching from that department over to our tech department. There's a real culture of not being heard at all. Like, the thing that I've always had a problem with churches is like churches are a collection of all the things they are. It's if people wanted to go and just hear preaching, that's a different thing. But it's the music, it's the community, it's the preaching, it's all these things combined into one that makes like a church. Otherwise, it's just religion and just like text. But it's a whole thing. You go and experience.
It's a culture.
The piece. This is becoming not what the community and the thing is. It's becoming what the top want it to look like. And I think that's the most dangerous thing in religion. And that's kind of why I wanted to like bring it up and talk about it, because like you should be curious, like inside of like the confines of what your religion is, you should curate that to be the most comfortable thing that fits your views kind of thing. Like make it the best of what it can be, not the you of what it can be. Like there's a very personal stamp that's going on this now, and this place is 100+ years old, and there is a very much a individualized brand going on it now of like what it wants to look like. So if anyone out there, I do all this to say, if you are doing a gig and it's been a thing and it's just doesn't feel right anymore, gigs can change, gigs can move. I'm terrified to leave this gig because it pays really well and it does this and that, but I can't be around that energy. I made a vow to myself when I was doing the plastic gig that it just doesn't work for me. And I got called out yesterday for just being angry. Like they screwed over my friend. She's upset. The culture is changing. It was not a good work environment. And I just go around and I'm going, I'm upset. And there's one reason or person that this is the reason for. So cut the rope. It's great money, but it's a shame.
Have you quit already?
I have not. No.
Okay.
So not, if you guys see this, feel free to cut me loose. My plan, so serious, my plan is to book my Sundays, just get into the brunch market game, because now Jess is also looking for work. And so like between Chelsea, all these like all the people I gig with, just look for some Sunday gigs here and there. And then once I start booking those, I'm just going to sub out my gig and then go to those gigs.
Well,
and just keep doing that until they don't want me anymore.
Well, good luck, because right until football season's over, it's kind of
that's true
difficult to find a Sunday gig.
That goes through
speaking from experience.
No, for sure, and that goes through like January, February,
yeah,
kind
exactly.
of thing. However, I have talked to a couple people that have opened up spots. Janetta just opened up a new spot, and she's I think she's going to toss us one a month to start, and then go from there. That's
cool.
A face. I would love to. Let's talk about that.
No, just make sure communication's open on that. Anyways.
Always communicate on your gigs. It's an important thing in this industry.
All right. Well,
so that's been fun. Anyway, thanks for
burning bridges with churches, and
thanks for letting me get that on my chest. I would love to look back on this in a year and just have a little stamp of where I'm at during some of these times.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
And I mean it, and so I'm glad I said it.
Definitely put some accountability on yourself for sure. So.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, this week on the show, we have a friend of the show, Madison Grace, who's been on before, but she's got some new music she's working on, as well as an acting career that she's pursuing with some stuff that's coming out soon, I believe. So we get into all of it on the episode. You can find out where to watch the stuff, hear her music, and all that good stuff. It was a really fun episode. As usual, it's fun getting people back on for a second time because the dynamic is a little bit, more like just comfortable. Everyone kind of knows what's going on, especially when we're friends with the person. So it was awesome to have Madison back on the show. As usual, we got merchandise in the description below. What else do we got, Chris, that I usually say? Follow us on all the platforms,
yep.
Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff.
Share it with your friends.
Like, subscribe, all that stuff helps with the algorithms and helps us grow this thing and keep the conversation going.
Go watch some old episodes.
Share those with your friends.
Find some new music you like off of it. Do all the cool stuff.
Yeah, we've had plenty of musicians on, people different walks of this industry, and you probably know some of them personally. So anyways, check it out, help get the word out, and we will see you guys later. Enjoy the episode. Peace.
This is Bottom of the Bill.
Madison Grace, welcome back
Thank
to
you.
the Bottom of the Bill. How are you doing?
It's good to be back. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We were talking a little bit before we were rolling about some film stuff that you got going on. I want to talk about that because that's super interesting to me as well.
Yeah. Well, I've been a musician for basically my whole life. So about, I think like 2021, like right about when I moved here or right before I moved here, I was working with my music video directors, and he was like, hey, we're doing this 48-hour film festival thing. You should, I have an extra ticket. Do you want to come to the viewing? I'm like, yeah, sure. So that was my first introduction to the Jacksonville film community was, I think it was 2021 maybe. 2021 48. And then after I went to that, I just started working on every set that I possibly could with them. Music videos, short films, skits for fun stuff, whatever I could. And now last year we did the 48. I was on their set, and we actually went to Festival de Cannes. There's actually a holiday in Jacksonville now. because of our team getting to go. We were the first American team in 10 years to win.
Really?
And yeah, and go to, so we won Jacksonville, went to Filmapalooza, like 150 cities compete, and they all go to Filmapalooza or like wherever it's held, whatever. I think this year it was Texas. It was it's in Texas and then Portugal, I think. So you go compete in Filmapalooza. We won Filmapalooza, and then we showed at Cannes. So that was crazy and awesome. So I get to say that I, worked on a winning film, and now I'm starting a little bit of acting. I was in one called The Faded Facts of Jax. You can find it on YouTube.
What's it called?
Faded Facts of Jax.
Faded Facts of
Yeah,
Jax.
it's like a parody on like drunk history, and they get like a
Okay.
homeless dude to like come in and like talk about the history of Jacksonville, and it just like absolutely goes awry. And I play Paris Hilton in
Interesting.
in the film. And
What's Paris Hilton's connection to Jacksonville?
you just have to go watch it.
Okay.
You just have to go watch it and see how she became the queen of Jacksonville.
Oh my God.
And it, in the film, Jacksonville was founded by Samuel L. Jackson.
Okay.
So, and
I see what's happening
yeah.
here. Okay.
So it's funny. It's a lot of fun. So Fred Durst is in it. It's great. Like you got to watch
Like
it.
the real Fred Durst?
No,
Okay.
no, the parody. But that was a lot of fun. So that's how I met Bethany, the director. I just worked with on my first starring role in a short film for the Creative Veins Trick or Treat film festival. I just had my first starring role with that, so that was a lot of fun, and it was a horror film, sci-fi. So.
Yeah. So congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
That's amazing.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
This is your first like real acting experience? Okay. Because I would feel like horror's gotta be like the hardest thing to like do for the first time.
I don't know. I was able to cry on camera very easy.
Really?
So yeah, like it was funny because I guess my makeup, I was sweaty, and like he thought he got the tear, and I'm like sitting there still in it, and he like cut, and I'm like, I'm about to have a tear, and he's like, oh, and he like gets right back into it, and I like give even more, and then like 1, 2, it just like drops down. I was like, yeah.
What are you like? How are you able to make yourself cry like that?
I mean, it's trade secrets, but I do not use sticks, like the tear sticks, and I don't like try to pull anything too deep. Like basically, as long as I can get the physical act going, then I'm able to like bring in that emotional behind it. So, I mean, I'll tell you, I will literally hold my eyes open until they get to the point of tears, and then all the while, like I'm within that character, whatever they're going through. And then once I feel the physical, it's way easier to give the emotional.
Okay,
know?
I see. Yeah.
So I guess a little bit of like manipulation techniques. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
But-
it's like you bring yourself to a point of physical discomfort to the point where all it takes is a little bit of emotional, like to push you over the edge.
To push you over the edge and bring those tears out.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
So, yeah, I'm very much like a method sensory type actor. From what I've learned, I've never taken an acting class. I've just, any actor or teacher I've ever been around, I'm just like, let me ask you as many questions for free as I possibly can
Yeah,
before
totally.
you're like, come to my class. And I'm like, and so luckily I'm surrounded by like the Jacksonville film community is like, so it's just like the music community, in my opinion. Like everyone is so nice. They are so welcoming and so eager to teach you. You know, you have your bad apples in everywhere you go. You can't avoid that. Every orchard's got their, bad apples, but it's so welcoming and so just it's just a community. It's a real community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to see you fail. Everybody wants to see you succeed.
Right.
And luckily I'm surrounded by some of the most talented people, and I get to ask them all the questions and be a little sponge. I'm very fortunate for that. So I take in whenever I'm going through anything real life that you typically would see in movies, I stay as present as possible. And I guess that sounds crazy, like if I'm getting sick, like I'm like, okay, what am I doing? What is my mouth doing? What is my body doing? Am I sweating? Am I heaving? What's happening? Just present always at all times. So that way you can call back to it whenever you need it for a shot.
Right. How much is happening like here on the ground as far as film goes? Is there like a studio, or is there like I'm just curious.
I don't know big time. I know that like a lot of studios come here for a lot of things, like HGTV. I've heard a lot of HGTV coming here.
Yeah.
I think because of all the renovations and everything, I've heard a lot of HGTV. It's more like there's just a lot of independent filmmakers and a lot of just like independent actors and independent people. Maybe they have an agent somewhere, but Jacksonville's just kind of a breeding ground for networking and like underground networking and like a starting pad to just like meet all these people.
And what about like there's no, I mean, I guess it's not directly connected to any of the stuff out in California, but like the writers' strike and all that, I would imagine has to have some kind of an impact.
I would think so, but I don't know. Like I'm not that well versed within the film community to know too much about that. You know, I'm not that much a professional when it comes to film. I don't know. I'm sure there are major connections. I know that I've met a few actors who were living in LA, but they moved home like either right before the writer's strikes or because of the writer's strikes because they weren't able to get work.
Right.
So they came home. Like one girl I just met, she was living in LA. She was like acting and about to start doing stand up, but she moved home and then like the writer's strike happened and she was like, oh God. Or I think she came home, the writer's strike happened and she just ended up staying, you know?
Yeah. So with the movie, like your first time really acting and then like being like the kind of star of the thing, what kind of pressure is that put on you? And did you feel like a responsibility to kind of bring the energy like for the other people that are involved, the other actors that are involved?
Well, it was cool because I was the only actor for all my scenes.
Oh, okay.
I was the only actor. There's 3 more actors, but they were all filmed different, like separately.
Okay.
Except for 2 that are gonna like be playing parents that are like doing this ritual in the beginning. So it honestly, I felt pressure from myself only because, you know, as a performer, you know, there's always pressure to give your best performance and do the best that you can. So, you know, especially coming into a new medium, which I've always been a proponent in saying that singing is acting, performing on stage is acting,
for sure.
You know, and you're telling a story, just the dialogue is different. It's like given to you, to the audience differently. So, you know, I felt pressure from myself to like really give the best performance that I could. And, you know, I was like, is there any notes? Do you want anything different? And the director would say, nope, you're doing exactly what I want. So the director, Bethany, she was amazing. I mean, absolutely incredible. She said it was her first time like directing a film, but like I said, she is a photographer. And I think that's what made her very unique as a director was as long as she got that overall, she captured that one moment within the scene, she was fine with the rest.
Yeah.
Like it was the most stress-free set I've ever been a part of.
There's some kind of like overlap, I feel like, as well with a photographer and director as far as like when you're running a set, right? Because like when you're...
They have a director of photography, the DP.
Oh, okay.
So they have, you know, they'll have like director, assistant director 2, director of photography, cinematographer, and they all are doing different jobs for the same thing. Like the director is not always running the camera. The DP or the cinematographer is.
Right.
You know, and the DP might not even run the camera. The DP might just set up the shot and then get it right. But then he's not even lighting the shot. He's telling the lighter and the gaffer where to put it. You know what I mean? Like every...
Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Every person plays such a huge and different role on set. And I think making film is the most collaborative like creative project, I guess, that you could really do. You know, it involves just about every facet of art to create.
Yeah.
You know, music, visual, lighting, set design, down to the actors, dancers, singers. Like you need it all.
Yeah, makeup,
to
the
make-
clothes, like everything. Yeah.
Everything. Choreographers for fight scenes or dance scenes or whatever it is, you know, and singers and music for the backing tracks and the soundtracks. You know, it all goes together. So it's a lot of fun getting to kind of not shift mediums, but like experience different art mediums and creative mediums.
Yeah, totally. And it's all gonna like feed the other side, you know, like because if you can get comfortable with performing in a void, kind of like acting, you know,
Yep.
where you're on like a sound stage or something, and you've got like a small group of people, everyone's like very focused and like, and then versus like when you're on stage and it's like a room full of people that are like just begging for you to give them some kind of like
Something, yeah.
anything, right? So it's like it becomes much easier to go into that situation when you're in like a cold world like acting where it's like you don't really know until like the end result if it's good or not, you know?
Yeah, and the end result could be totally different than what you as an actor even saw in your head. Like, so with the script that I was given, it was just very minimal script, short film, you know, very basic. There wasn't a lot of lines. That's what I really appreciated, because as a singer, you know, I'm used to giving my dialogue singing, elongated and through tones. You know, I know my face and my body won't fail me. I can act physically with that, no problem, but it's my voice that I was scared of. And so the fact that it was just very much like talking to yourself kind of thing, there was just very low pressure when it came to dialogue. So that was a good introduction. I think it was all just physical, emotional, but like what I'm comfortable with. So
Yeah.
which I think is probably the easiest part of acting, is giving the emotional side, making the faces, you know, giving your body its talking that can feel unnatural and can feel rehearsed.
Right,
you know?
right, yeah. Trying to convey like a certain thing that you might not be feeling in the moment,
Yeah.
or just, you know, not having, especially when you're going in, like, I guess that's why they have like, you know, table reads and stuff, because to understand context,
Yep.
right? And there's a lot that goes into how you're going to respond based off of how somebody else does. You ever listen to the podcast Smartless?
I haven't.
So it's have you heard of it before?
I think I have. It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's like Jason Bateman,
Okay, yeah.
Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes.
The guys I have been shooting with, they listen to that one, and they listen to the Sunny podcast.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
they listen to a couple other like actor podcasts too.
Yeah, so it's interesting because like they get like Jason Bateman's kind of nerdy on like the logistics side of acting. So he goes into a lot of that, which I find interesting. And something he talks about is like what you're like alluding to what you're saying, where how collaborative it is, but almost to a fault.
Yeah, because then it's
like,
whose movie is it? Everybody, that was a conversation we were having, is like, whose baby is it? Is it the actor's movie? Is it the writer's movie who wrote the entire story? Is it the investor's movie who's paying for all of it? Is it the producer's movie who's running the set? Is it the director's movie who's directing all the shots? Is it the cinematographer's movie or the lighter's movie who's lighting everything? Because if it wasn't for the lighting, or is it the editor's movie who puts it all together and makes it the final shot? Or is it the director's who has the final cut, whoever has the final call? You know, it's
Right.
like, it's so collaborative. It's like it's not like writing a song where you can be like, they wrote the song and then they produced it, but it's, you know, it's that artist's song, you know, that's the, I guess like the public perception. But like with the movie, it's like, really, whose is it?
Yeah, because like
Or the studio that releases it and
Right.
has the rights to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Legally has the rights to it, you know.
right, which is a whole different thing, right?
Yeah, it's
like,
a whole different.
So it's like, and I thought it was also interesting because, you know, when you go in as an actor, especially, I feel like, you know, the actors probably have, even though they're the ones that you see, it's probably like they have the least control over the end result.
Yeah,
you know?
unless you're like, you know, Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, like you're top tier, or you're a producer also within it, or like you have some kind of like, yeah, the actors basically like, you come in and do your stuff and then you leave. Like you have nothing to do with anything that is going on. And half the time you don't even really know, like sometimes it's hard to even get like the full context of the movie because you're shooting out of order. You
Right.
don't always shoot in order.
That's
it's very rare.
You hear that a lot with actors, like talking about they see the movie the same time that everybody else does, you know. So it's like
they might see some dailies and they might see some
Right.
outtakes and they might see some cuts, but like they're the last ones that are thought about. You know, Gwyneth Paltrow is always, I've seen her interviews where she's like, I was in Spider-Man. Like they were like, yeah, you were in like the last scene in Spider-Man. She's like, I just come into Marvel and just shoot. Like I don't even know what movies is for what. Like we just come in and shoot, and they don't even know, Marvel characters don't even know what movies they're shooting for. They just come in and shoot.
That's insane.
And kudos to the Marvel cast, because like say whatever you want about whatever, they gross so much money always. It's always a good feel good movie to watch with the whole family, and they're acting in green suits and green rooms. Like
Right.
how, if that's not a testament to like how good these actors like have to be to pull off these movies and characters, then like I don't know what is.
Yeah, totally.
You know, you have to be, you got to be good, because if not, it falls flat. You know.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like kind of back to the lack of control side of it, where like as a musician, what would be the hardest thing for me about acting is not having much control over the end result, because you're doing however many takes of whatever scene, and you might feel that this one was the best. But at the end of the day, when it goes into the editing room, you don't really have a say in what comes out. And then again, not having any context fully for how things going to like, you know, go and the flow of the whole movie. At the end of it, you're like, yeah, I mean, I showed up and I did my job, but I didn't do that. Right? There's like this guy be like this. Whereas like when you release a song, you're like, I performed it. I picked the best takes that I thought were going to work. I was in, you know, maybe, I mean, a lot of the times, at least for me, I'm in the room when they're mixing it and, you know, making choices and all that. And then the end result, the only thing that I'm not really a part of, even though I get to decide if I like it or not, is the mastering process usually.
Same. Yeah.
So it's like when people hear that, I can confidently say, I know every part about this in and out, and that is my product, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like with a movie, the actor's in there, and when you see what they did, it almost is like I don't know that I didn't know that I did that.
Yeah.
Right.
I would say, you know, as long as you are working with people that you trust and that you hold to a high standard, that you know that they're going to pick the best shot.
Right.
You know, and usually when you're on set, like that's part of the AD's job, or like the script soup's job, like whoever it kind of falls on, because like depending on the size of the set, you can like each role can kind of like pick up different jobs, kind of, you know. But like an AD job or a script soup job, you know, they would, you know, where it's scene 1, take 3. All right, circle that. That was a good take. I like that take. That was my favorite one, you know. And usually it's like the last take is always
Right.
it's either the last take or the second to last take. It's usually like what I've seen gets gone with.
It's kind of similar for music too, where you're like, once you're warmed up and you're in it, you know, and then you can kind of like that.
Once you have the blocking down, once you have the words down, once you have like what exactly was going to happen, the camera knows where you're going, the focus guy knows where you're going, everybody knows what's happening, and it is kind of like you get that one moment, you know, and you're like, well, let's do one more just cause.
Right.
You know, one more just cause. You can kind of know like which take it's going to be based on like when the director's like, yeah, circle that one. You know, I like that one. Good job. But, you know, different directors, different sets, different actors. Luckily, Bethany's been like very adamant about having me a part of that process too. Like she wants me to be in the editing room with them. And
cool.
She wants me to do stuff with her when it comes to that kind of stuff. Because like I came in like fully prepared and ready to go. Like I wrote a whole backstory for my character that wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah, like I wrote a whole backstory for her. She had a whole thing of like why she was in the house, you know, why the witch's spirit was like so connected to her. Like I went through like a whole deep dive with that character.
Yeah, so I don't know if we said it on the podcast yet. What is the movie about?
Oh, so it's, when does this air?
This airs like a month from now, probably.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so it's already out, so I can talk about it.
Okay, cool.
Okay,
First off,
it's-
what's it called?
it's called, I don't know.
Okay. So we don't know what it's called.
Yeah, but I can tell you the name of our team.
Okay.
So like it's for like I said, it's for a Halloween trick or treat film festival, and so our name is She's Such a Horror.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, she's such a horror. Is it? Yeah, horror.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But so that's the name of the team. I'm not sure what the name of the film will be, but it's about a girl named Jessie who is at this house, and just weird stuff starts happening, and like she's seeing crazy things, and she's seeing all this stuff, and she's freaking out. She's like, "It's just stress. You've been through so much, you know." She came to this house to kind of like eat, pray, love, and escape and find herself and just, you know, finally do something for herself. And she's kind of witchy herself, and she keeps thinking that like this evil witch spirit is like trying to take her, so she's going to exorcise her. But then she gets abducted, and she's like ready to go to war. So it's just, you know, like I said, it's a short film, and it honestly feels like what we've shot is kind of like a teaser for something big. And that's why I went to Bethany and I was like, look, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I've only worked on a few sets. I've been on one feature that I'm not even credited for. So I want to turn this. I think it has potential, and I think Jessie's like, I'm attached to this character. Like, I want to tell her story. Her story needs to be told. There's so much that can allude back to like just trauma, you know, dealing with dealing with loss, dealing with, you know, grieving, acceptance, letting go. You know, there's just within this like creepy sci-fi story, there's just like, I think there's just so much to be told, and she has a beautiful story, you know, and she's had a lot of loss in her life, and I just think she has a lot to say, and I think she has a beautiful image, you know, like just so she can just capture such a beautiful image. Like I don't know, like I have a lot of faith in her and her future projects, and I want to work with her.
Awesome. So this thing coming up that it's going to be at is a film festival, right?
Like a local thing.
A
Yeah.
local thing. And what's the name of it?
I'm pretty positive it's called the Trick or Treat Halloween Festival.
Okay.
Creative Veins, the acting school and studio here in Jacksonville, puts it on. Rebecca, the owner, amazing. First of all, also another amazing strong woman in Jacksonville. Shout out to all the strong women out here. And, you know, and her studio is super sick. Like, I think there's like 18 or 20 different rooms of just like different sets and scenes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So during the 48, like 4 or 5 teams were all there. Like everybody was shooting at the same time. It was chaos and hectic, and it was just the spirit of the 48, you know, and it was amazing.
What's the 48?
So it's a film festival that is held all over the world. 150 cities in the world do it. Jacksonville is one of those cities, and you are given everybody is given the same line, prompt, or prop and character that you have to put in each movie. And then by random, you're given two to choose from themes and genres. So like it could be horror or dark comedy. This year we got musical or karate. So you can like incorporate both or just one. And
that's cool.
Yeah. And then because last year we had fantasy and tearjerker, so then Born was Threshold. If you would like to check that out, it's also on YouTube, and it was premiered at Decan. So it's on YouTube, Threshold. Yeah. So then you have from the drawing. At the end of the drawing, they start your time, and you have 48 hours to write, film, edit, and send off a short film, 4 to 7 minutes. So it's, you know, usually like the first, after the drawing's done, like the first 12 hours are writing and getting everything together. And then you wake up at like 6 a.m. the next day, even though you went to bed at 2 or however late. You wake up at 6 a.m. and you start filming, and it's usually like a very long, non-union regulated. I didn't say that. It's just very long film day, and you know, and then from start to finish, you shoot a film in like, you know, less than 24 hours, and then you have 24 hours to edit and send it off, and then the rendering.
Yeah.
You have to wait for that bitch to render.
Yeah.
So
People don't talk about.
Yeah, we don't talk about it. But yeah, it's crazy hectic, but like so worth it and so much fun. And if you want an introduction into the film world, like I feel like that's a great introduction.
I mean, if there's nothing more indicative of how the entertainment industry works than having a festival that literally makes you work down to the last minute. It's like training you for how all this shit actually goes down, right? Because it's people that we were just talking about the other day. It's like people think that like that like pros have everything like so mapped out and it's all done with such precision and like
they just have money behind them.
That's what it is.
That's all it is. They just have money to back them, and somebody's screaming down their throat, "Get this done! I need it done by like last week." Like,
right.
You know, that's, you know, they are just as procrastinative, and is that even a word?
It is now.
I like to make up words.
We just added it to the dictionary.
Yeah.
Procrastinative, the noun version or the adjective version of procrastinating. They're just as procrastinating. They're just as, you know, in their own head, all of that, but they have people to keep them in check. That's the difference. You know, the self-discipline and having somebody to discipline you as well.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know a single creative who isn't like some kind of messy in the sense of like there's some kind of, you know, they'll put something off, a little bit of procrastination.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, that's
sleep a little bit too much, maybe.
Story of my life.
Stay up a little bit too late, you know.
I woke up this morning and it was like fucking freezing in the apartment, and I was like, you know, I could get up and go to the gym right now, but I'm just going to sleep until like 10:30.
Yeah, well, I'll wait till it warms up a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Fucking real reptilian over here.
Not a big ice plunge guy.
No.
Dude, if it wasn't like getting colder, I would totally do it. But it's too cold. It's like getting chilly right now.
It's
in
still
Jacksonville.
warmer out than it is in the cold
Even
plunge.
if it's
hot
You get in the
outside.
cold plunge, you get out, it feels
warmer.
No.
in comparison.
Yeah, I know.
That sounds like a stomach ache to me.
Yeah.
That sounds like I'm going to get super hot and then super cold and then super hot again and I'm going to throw up. That's what that sounds like to me.
Yeah. It's but the procrastinating is definitely like the whole thing. I mean, I've got like all this shit I've been sitting on for like a month that I just started like working on yesterday, and I was like, I guess I'll just make it happen now.
I feel like if you're procrastinating on something that you were like super gung-ho about at first, it's because you're about burnt out on it and you need to step away. And that's something that I've really, this like past like few months, I've just really been adamant about allowing myself to create just to create. The other day I spent 6 hours writing a little romance fiction. You know, I used to write, when I was like a teenager, I used to write fan fiction, and I even got like a bunch of reads. Like I had like over 1 million reads on one of these like fan fictions on Wattpad. Yeah, I was on Wattpad. Check me out.
I don't even know what that is.
It's where all the like fan fiction girlies went to go read Harry Styles smut. So, and that's like exactly what I wrote too. So, I hope he never sees this. And so, you know, I used to write all the time, and I used to like write short stories, write long stories, write literally anything, or, you know, and so I've spent 6 hours one day just sitting in one chair in one spot, just writing a story on my phone. And at first I got like really upset with myself, because I was like, I was going to film content, I was going to do this, I was going to do that, but I felt like so good. And then I wanted to pick up my guitar. Like, when you're a creative and you force yourself into a box, that's when you're going to get burnt out.
Yeah.
And that was a lesson I had to kind of learn, because I thought like, no, I'm just going to go gung-ho. I'm just going to do it all because I can. And this is what I'm good at. This is what I love to do the most. But I was like neglecting all the other facets of creativity that I love, you know, and that was just stifling me so much, I feel, as an artist. And so I've been just like really allowing myself to really just create in any aspect and write in any aspect, like writing jokes. I want to do a type 5 at Voussoir.
Hell yeah.
And just because my ego's like, you can do it. And I
Well-
just want to prove to myself that I can.
Well, I think that, that's great. And I think it's there's an element of it that's funny, obviously. But in all seriousness, I think that it's important that if you have an impulse to do something like that, doesn't matter how uncomfortable it makes you, you should
I just want to throw
definitely
myself
just
out of
do
my
it.
comfort zone. Like that is talking between songs is like I can do it. I'm funny. I'm like, I'll ref with hecklers or whatever, but I can get so flustered sometimes. So, and like storytelling is not my strongest suit. As you can tell, I'm so talkative. It's not, I'm so ADD. So I think it's a great exercise and it's a really cool challenge that I want for myself. I want to get better at telling stories. I want to throw myself out of my comfort zone where I'm not singing on stage. That's when I'm comfortable. Is when I'm singing on stage. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care who's in the crowd, whatever. But talking is when I get flustered. So it's a challenge and I want to challenge myself,
Yeah, totally. And then you got to figure out how to, make the joke work. And then there's taking words, just the editing process.
Because if one too many words and it throws it off, the way that you say it can throw it off. So
Totally.
I was trying out some of my jokes on my mom, but she's not from Jacksonville. So I wrote a few Jacksonville centric jokes. And, because I was talking about coming from Mississippi, I'm very eccentric back home. I'm the eccentric one.
Yeah.
I'm the free spirit back home and the gypsy.
Who moved to the big city.
Yeah, that moved to the big city. Yeah. And, so I made a joke I love Jax because I was, able to be myself and just feel so free and be around other people that I felt were just like me, that back home, I was looked at as weird. But, if I'm ever feeling homesick, I just, drive 20 minutes to Yulee and just go stand out at Walmart and ask for abortion signatures. And I don't know if that's funny or not because I was I don't know, but
that is funny. I like it.
It's funny. Okay, so
Yeah.
Jacksonvillians like it. So.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And I want to say stuff that, I don't want to be scared to say some, stuff that people might not agree with. I don't really care, to each their own. But if you can't laugh about it, then what are you doing?
Yeah, and it's
laughter's the best medicine.
Yeah, totally. I think that comedy, even though there are a lot of comedians that get shit for stuff, I still feel like it's the last medium of being creative that has
It's not been stifled.
Yeah, you can
Look
get
at
away
South
with
Park.
the most. Yeah, exactly.
They've been trying to get canceled for years, and they just they're doing whatever they
You
can.
just because it's again, it's under the guise of comedy, and I think that there's
the satirical, yeah.
Yeah, there's room for it to work there, and people that try and stop it or to try and cancel people like that, it's you're just the worst kind of person,
Yeah.
and no one likes you anyways.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I think comedy is going to be what's going to save the entertainment industry once it gets too far, because it's going to be the last ending one. And if they come for comedy, I think everybody's gonna be all right, it's gotten too much. South Park even made a joke about that in their post-COVID thing, and with Jimmy doing Jimmy Live, his Tonight Show.
yeah,
And all his jokes were just wow, I love the Mexicans. They work so hard.
yeah,
It's just,
it's just not funny.
yeah,
at all. Yeah,
it's just he's giving compliments, and it's I think whenever you want, but I don't know. It's I love stand-up comedians, so that's definitely one I want to try now.
yeah, totally. Again, it's just about that comfort zone and just
Throw
trying
myself to the
things.
wolves,
Yeah, and you don't know what you might discover.
Exactly.
You might love that path for yourself.
If I can just get one laugh, I think that'll be enough for my inflated ego to go I can do this. Yeah, we're gonna go to LA and freaking become a comedian now. I'm the female Matt Rife. No, it's just, no.
It's the story of most comics. I feel like a lot of them just wanted to try something out, and they got that one laugh, and they're like, "Oh, that was cool."
That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but
Yeah, I'm terrified to do comedy because I don't think that in that context, I'm just too like monotone and just like people don't always know that I'm joking.
Yeah, but you can play into that. That's
Yeah, you
like
totally
that's like a
can.
facet, because that was one of the things I was kind of deciding for my like stand-up character or whatever you want to call it. Like, just what is my like overall attitude gonna be? Do I want to be like kind of more monotone and kind of like not cynical, but just kind of like that, you know. You can be that like more monotone, cynical, like the like Audrey, the girl that plays
Plaza.
Audrey Plaza. You know, that type of just like dry humor. Or you could be a little bit more animated, or you know, or like Bert, you know, Kreischer. He's freaking absolutely insane.
Yeah.
You know, or Tom Segura. You know, he's, I think, a really good. Just like, he's very calm, and he just kind of talks like this and tells his jokes, and he gives you that like hard punch, and the way he delivers it, it's like so calm, but it's so ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't know, write some jokes and just like break out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I know. I'm like in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's like other things that I think I need. Like, for me, like music is still such a battle for me
Yeah.
that I try and conquer. I'm like, okay, well,
I think you've conquered it. I went to your show. I think you conquered it.
oh, thank you.
Like, oh my gosh, because me and my friend Erica Reese, shout out to Erica Reese, she's also an amazing singer-songwriter and musician. She does like that Dreamwave beach. If you want to like go smile and have fun on the beach, listen to her. If you want to go cry on the beach, go listen to her. If you want to set fire to the beach, go listen. If you just want to be on the beach, go listen to her.
Yeah.
You know, but we came to see you at
Ragtime.
yeah, Ragtime. It was an acoustic show, and dude, like, it was freaking amazing. Like,
Oh, thank you.
The people around us were like, "Are these his songs?" I'm like, "I think so, yeah," because like your songs are so nostalgic and they sound so familiar. Like, but it's like I feel like I know it, but I've never heard it before.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just they're amazing, and I'm ready for you to get it out, because I could hear the music behind it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's so undeniable. Some songs are just so undeniable. Even if you hear it acoustic, you can hear the backing track.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's the what thing I've been procrastinating on is I've got like a behind the scenes documentary thing that
Yeah.
I'm doing along with this acoustic album that I'm putting out, and I've just been slacking on the editing side, but it's coming out in the next few months. I'm working on it.
That's cool.
But like,
I'm excited to see it.
thank you. But like, besides the like that's a side that I feel more comfortable with. Like, you know, I like writing, I always need improvement on, and I'm always working on that. And then like the acoustic stuff is whatever, but more for me, like the next thing that I need to get over, that I wasn't so weird about earlier on, but now is like just getting back into jamming.
Yeah.
And like, you know, hitting the jams and like playing music that I don't necessarily
Isn't that weird
know.
how like it changes though? Like, there's stuff that like it was just something that came so naturally in the beginning, and then as you've progressed and you've learned a little bit more, now it's just like not as natural. Like, I've caught myself, like, I've never been scared of my voice. I've never been scared of notes. I've never done any of that. But like, after I did this cruise tour, and just, you know, it was like my first like rigorous tour, and it wasn't like a normal tour. It was like I was playing for 1.5 to 3 hours, 6 days on, 1 day off, on a dry, no humidity ship with salt air, you know, and that takes a toll physically for a vocalist. About every night, like, you know, there's, you know, a vocalist being replaced for, you know, having to be on vocal rest because they've lost their voice, laryngitis. So it was like, you know, the first few days I got there, like, I blew out my voice, just like giving it my all, because I'm so used to being able to like give it my all, sleep, be fine in like normal air. But because it was so dry, it dried me out, and I like could not even talk, and it was so scary. I basically got spooked, and now it's been like, I'm not saying I'm not giving 100%, but I definitely, like, there's a part of me that has like a new fear of like losing my voice again like that, you know?
Yeah.
And even now I'm like, I'm a little sick right now. I'm a little, I'm always kind of raspy, but I've been kind of sinusy the past few days. So even that, like, it, you know, it kind of scares me.
Well, like the idea of like, you start to find like your comfort zone, you know,
Yeah.
like the more, and that's why it's important. Like you're still very young, and for you to
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you, because everyone thinks I'm like approaching my 30s, and I'm like, barely there.
you're not even. We won't say on the air.
Thank you. Yeah.
But like anyway,
I'm 21.
yeah. Yeah, me too. Actually,
Wow. Me too.
So I think that when you're it's good to keep like pushing yourself when you're younger, because hopefully, and if you keep pushing yourself, you'll like, it becomes to the point where everything that's like not comfortable for you can become comfortable very quickly. Just like for me, I spent so much time like playing in one band that was just like constantly touring and putting out music, to the point where I just, now that band's not together anymore, I have to like start putting myself back in these situations where like, you know, I went to a jam last night at Rain Dog. Shout out to all those guys like
fun.
Mylan and Andrew.
Shout out to Christina Wagner too for
she's
again
awesome.
being a strong woman.
Yeah, she's
and,
amazing.
like killing it. She's a new mom now. Jay and Bethany did like a documentary style thing with her, like talking about her, like just her journey and like her music career, and like she's just, oh my God, she's just hands down one of the most amazing females I know in the industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I look up to her so much as a musician and as a young woman. You know, she's just absolutely killing it in a male dominated industry, owning a bar in the sound industry. And, you know, she's just, and she's a freaking mom on top of that. Like she's just, she's a really amazing person. I
Yeah,
think.
and I love that they're letting those guys go and do their thing.
Oh, I know.
On Tuesdays at Rain Dogs.
It's such a proponent for live and local music and live music. You
Yeah.
know? She has both. Like you can go party with the DJ at the front, or you can go listen to a house band in the back that's like super underground. Like it just has that. It's the stuff that you guys got to grow up with, and like she got to grow up with, but not the stuff that my generation got to grow up with. So
Right.
she's creating a space for young people to come and get to experience that like underground, you know, I paid $10 to see this band before they took off kind of thing.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and getting to provide that, like, I think like that integral part of live music and of music as a whole.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
It's cool. It's well attended. I mean, that jazz jam in particular is like, there's a lot of people out there last night, and the people they have on there is like Angel Garcia,
Oh, yeah.
Mylan, all good. Bryant is on there, Patterson, and then
And my boy Justin from Time Wise.
Yeah. And then they had a percussion player, Carlos something. I think he plays at LPT sometimes. Anyways, it was like really good. And then they asked if I was gonna get up and play, and I was like, no. But what I need to not do is that.
Yeah.
I need to like bring my stuff
Get up and
next
play.
time and be like, all right, well maybe I won't play like this Latin
Get out of your own
jazz
head,
stuff.
get out of your own way.
Yeah, that's what it is, you know. So anyways, that's why
Because those guys, they're not, don't ever, for anybody who is starting out on any kind of anything, hobby, new, whatever, and you're around people who are really good at what they do, I've always said never, ever, 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 ever be scared to play with them.
Yeah.
Because if they're good enough and they're that good, like, they're playing with them is just going to make you even better. And they're not watching you, judging you. They're not, you know, they're not wanting to see you fail. They don't want to see you. They don't want to see you fail. They don't want to see you mess up. They're asking you to do this because they believe in you and they want to see you succeed too.
Right.
You know, and I always tell every musician that's starting out, I'm like, find people who are way better than you and watch them, learn from them, play with them as much as you can. Be annoying, be a sponge, soak it all up, soak everything you can up from them, because it'll make you that much better.
Yeah, totally.
Don't be scared to be around. I never want to be the smartest or best person, or not best person, but I never want to be the smartest or like best in the room for anything ever, ever. Because I know I'm not in the right place. I don't want to be, I want to be the worst. I want to be the one. I want to be surrounded by the people who are just the top of the top of the top.
Yeah.
And excel so I can learn from them and learn what they do.
Yeah, well, and it's also, you know, I don't think that anybody ever is the best or the smartest person in the room, you know, because then if you find yourself in a situation where maybe technically or experience wise you've done more or you're capable of more, there's like another avenue there. Like maybe you can in this moment be like a teacher for somebody else. I mean, you might not be the best teacher in the room or whatever it might be. Like there's always an angle to like humble yourself. In any situation.
Either a blessing or a lesson. You got something to learn from everybody.
You guys and your Southern sayings. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeehaw, bro.
Don't know. It's honestly making me uncomfortable.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just joking.
And maybe that's why I'm like such a songwriter, because my whole life my mama just has all these sayings. Like it was another one of my jokes that like I stole from her, or not really stole from her, but like a joke I'm working in. It was like, so my car AC went out, and it's not always good, and it was going to be like $850 to get it fixed.
Jesus.
And I'm just like talking to my mom. I'm like, I don't know what to do. And she's like, honey, well, sounds like you're going to be doing a 460. I said, what's 460? She goes, 4 windows down is 60 miles an hour.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, what? Like, hold on. It took me 4 windows down is 60 miles an hour. I was like, okay. Like, just, I don't know, some of the stuff that people in my family say, I'm just like, I've never heard that, but that sounds like it should be something, you know?
It's a great song, a great idea for a song.
Oh, yeah.
What I like about it, though, just like the sayings in general, is that it, like, people in the South have a tendency to take complex
Ideas
concepts and just like simplify them to like.
And you're just like, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. The truth comes out on wash day.
Oh,
that's one.
Like, was that like laundry day?
Yeah, wash day. Yeah, the truth always comes out on wash day.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, she's full of them. I actually put that in a song. Another one that's been on my mind. My dad said, he was like, and especially doing all this film stuff, he was like, if perception is reality, then reality is not the truth. And I was like, oh God, that got me.
Yeah, that's just a good one in general. I feel like. Yeah.
And I've been trying to turn that one into a song too. It's like a rock anthem.
Yeah.
That one. So, they're always full of like these old sayings that I'm just like, yeah, you're right. You know.
All right, guys, this episode's brought to you by Best Buds CBD Store. If you're like me, maybe THC isn't always the right high for you, or maybe the legal status of THC has you a bit hesitant to indulge. So at Best Buds CBD Store, they have an array of CBD and Delta 8 THC products. These guys truly care about their service, so everything is meticulously sourced and prepared to deliver a top-notch product and experience. If you head to their website, you'll find all kinds of educational information regarding Delta THC and CBD. Not to mention, if you use promo code BotBPod, that's BOTB pod, you'll save 10% on your order. This is not a one-time deal. If you use promo code BotBPod, every time you place an order with Best Buds, it will give you 10% off. That's in perpetuity, forever. So head over to bestbudscbdstore.com and start saving on all of your CBD and Delta 8 products. Enjoy, guys.
So are you working on another musical project right now? Do you have like?
Yeah, so I've been writing a lot for this next project. Right now, I still have like so many songs to release. I have 5 songs out right now.
Right.
And so I started writing for my next album already. And like, I think I'm like 3/4 of the way done with that. I wanted like 11 or 12 songs, and I think I have like 7.
Okay.
So, and I have all the ideas for the rest of them. They just got to get written. But right now I've just been doing a lot of focus on my RV. I just bought a 1988 Class C RV, and I've been back home in Mississippi renovating it to get ready to like live and, tour in it. So, I am working on it. I've been working with some of my band members that I have and getting some good like voice recordings like on my phone, just like demoed out like parts that I want for each song, and kind of like getting the parts written, so that way when it is time to come in the studio, because I want to do it differently this time. I want to do more of like a live album type, where like I want all the instruments to be recorded and played and recorded live at the same time, as if like we're playing a show. And you know, like I'll sing scratch vocals like with it over it in like a different room or something like while we're playing, but I want it to feel more live, rather than like having, because last time we had Leroy Copeland, my bestie, we had him play all the instruments, so it was just like, you know, one instrument, one take kind of thing at a time. So, but this time I want to like get in there, get it done, have it like that, that like grungy Nirvana feel, you know?
So you want like guitars and everything at the same time as well?
Yeah. Can I have another water bottle?
Yes.
I'm
absolutely.
sorry.
No problem.
It's been like, just started getting like a little head cold. Like I don't feel crappy at all. I don't feel sick. I don't feel anything. I'm just like a little sinusy, a little throaty, a little chesty.
Yeah, I think it's just the weather change. Honestly, it started getting me last night.
Yeah, like I have it's called it's called bronchial asthma.
Okay.
And like whenever the weather changes or like head colds can just like trigger, and like I literally will have an asthma attack like once or twice a year around this time.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're having an asthma attack right now on the
Yeah, I
on
can
the
tell.
podcast.
It's like, yeah, sorry, you can hear it. It's like getting wheezy.
It's
but
okay.
I did the inhaler, so I'm good.
Okay.
It'll calm down. But okay, I'm good. I'm sorry.
You're good. No,
continue.
stop apologizing. You're all good,
Okay.
dude. It's fine.
That's my like that meme of SpongeBob where it's like you can quit apologizing. He's like, oh, sorry. Like that's me. I'm an apology whore.
I understand how that goes. I apologize for everything too. Or at least I used to. I don't really
Yeah.
apologize for that much anymore.
I think that's also something that like comes with like age and confidence is like not. I don't know. It's one of those questions that I have is like when are you your own person? Like when are you your own destiny? Like your destiny becomes its own reality. Like when you think of like the multiverse theory and like I was watching Rick and Morty and like, you know, they had the goggles that they could see different multiverses and you know, the parents were divorced in some of them and like Summer, the daughter like wasn't there and they're like, oh, well, you know, if your dad and I never got together, then you never would have been born. So it's like, well, at some point when she becomes older, I don't know, like at what point do you become your own entity, like your own person?
I don't think that you
know?
ever do. You know, I don't think that you ever do. I think that you can become like set in your ways.
Yeah.
You know, and some people are quicker to do that than others. Some people are more stubborn than others and are less susceptible to be, malleable, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can say that when I hit 25, I felt
When the frontal cortex was fully developed.
Oh, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
There was something that happened when I hit 25 where I was like, I feel much more confident in what I believe and the path that I'm taking.
I've been feeling that this year. Like I'm in my 20s as I've been aging. This like past year, I've definitely felt that too. Like where things just kind of start clicking.
Yeah, exactly.
Things just kind of start making sense. Questions that you had, and you're just like, oh, like that's what that is. Like you just kind of things just start making more sense.
Yeah,
you know?
And there's and I've certainly changed a lot about myself since I was 25. Hopefully, anyways. But like,
not that hairline though.
Yeah, you know what? I can show you pictures when I was 25. It's definitely receded a bit.
What?
Yeah.
You didn't. Then okay, because like. First of all, you have the best head of hair I've seen on a man in a very long time.
Thank you.
Not like being gross or weird, but like just objectively, you have amazing hair. So I can't imagine your forehead any smaller. It's like that's like the perfect size for it. You got a widow's peak and everything.
It's
like,
such an insecurity for me too.
No.
I look at pictures when I was like in my early 20s, mid 20s, and I'm like, it was just.
What is your hairline like 2 inches above your fucking eyebrow?
Nah.
Like
It's just there's like I don't know. There's also just like a youthful thing that you have at that age that I don't have anymore. So like just whatever. And I also know myself from back then.
Yeah, but like,
so you see those things.
I guess it's like the way society perceives aging and men. Like when men get older, like that's when men I've not exposing myself or anything, but I truly think that like men become their most attractive when they're like in their 30s. Like you know, I think most people become their most attractive
would
when they're
say
in their
so,
30s
yeah.
because it's like you're done kind of with everything. Like your brain's done growing, everything's done growing, and you're kind of like, you're more confident in yourself. You're more, you know yourself more. You've experienced a little bit more. So there's that like, that confidence that just comes with age that, you know, is hard to fake. And I think that's why people think that I'm so much older than I am, because they always say, well, it's the way you carry yourself. I'm like, you sure it's not these wrinkles under here? But
There's no, you're ridiculous. Dude. That's crazy. But like then you meet people that are like in their 30s that are like I know people personally that are just like they have like no confidence and don't
Yeah.
keep it together. I'm always like, what happens there? Because, and it's not a judgment thing. I'm like genuinely curious
And
about
concerned.
yeah, like what's like what happens in someone's upbringing or their experiences that's made you get to a point where you're that there's no dispute once you're in your 30s. This is not like a question as to whether or not you're an adult.
Yeah.
Like this is it. Like you're here, right? And so what is it about people that can't make a decision or that are just too insecure? Like you know, people, especially with like, you know, like dating and stuff like that, where like you see people, I'm like, dude, this is a no-brainer to me. Like why wouldn't you do this or why
Yeah.
wouldn't? And everyone's got their thing. It's interesting to me, like what happens to people that makes
Me
them
too.
so insecure.
Me
It
too.
carries that through adulthood.
I've been looking a little bit into like more psychology recently too. Sigmund Freud was a very interesting man.
yeah.
Was a very interesting man, but his concept of like the 5 sexual stages, and not sexual in the sense of, you know, like intercourse.
Yeah. It's
Sexual in the sense of like human sex,
development.
human physiology, and like growing up like through, because like, you know, the sex of your, you know, gender, whatever, not gender, but like the, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So psychology, like anyway. So it's like, you know, the oral stage. It's like the oral stage, the anal stage, the God, there's 5 stages. I
Yeah,
can't remember
yeah.
all of them. And it's like, you know, he believed that, you know, if you missed a step within your, because it went from like being an infant to a toddler, learning to use the bathroom, to like discovering your genitalia and discovering like your body as like a human, like waking up and discovering like being conscious, basically. Into like preteen pubescent, and then the last stage is like being a full-grown adult. So like being aware, and then I guess like starting to, I don't know, anyway, I'm not a psychologist. I've just watched some YouTube videos because I was interested and read some articles, but I just found them like very interesting, and his idea was that if you miss a step within these stages, then you'll be stuck within that stage until you can conquer that step.
Right.
So like that's when like he would take in like role playing and all that within like immersing yourself into like whatever that traumatic event was,
Right.
and then changing the narrative this time.
Right. Yeah.
You
It's
know?
like all like psychotherapy and all
Yeah,
that.
like yeah. So I just found that like very interesting, and it makes a lot of sense to me. Like we are very, and especially getting into acting too. Like it just, because that's what it feels like. Like, you know, it feels like, you know, you're taking from real life events and you're kind of just like pulling from those emotions and like changing the narrative, you know?
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. There's so much psychology in art,
Yeah, totally.
you know, every facet of art, even down to like physical, like music. Like, don't even get me started on my sound levitation theory. Like, music is so physically and like psychologically necessary for humans.
Yeah.
And it's like the fact that we didn't discover it, like, or like we didn't invent it, we just discovered it. Like it was already here, it was already everywhere.
Right.
You know, the universe vibrates at like a certain rate. So it's like being able to manipulate those tones and frequencies and being able to use them. You know?
Organize the chaos and all that.
The organization of the chaos, exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, that was a tangent.
No, it's okay.
This is what podcasts are for, though. Going on tangents.
Exactly. I think that like going back to the insecurity stuff, I think that is a good point. You know, people that have, I think that oftentimes children are not allowed to fully explore these different developmental stages because whatever it might be, like religion or whatever is around, it's stifling some things, and then people can be made
but
to
sometimes,
feel.
like with my generation, I know for a fact that like Gen Z is going to be like, I mean, I was in 8th grade when that video of that dude getting his head, you know, off was on iFunny, an app for memes. It was on YouTube. They posted it. Like, I was in math class when that video went around and we were watching it, like some kids, like, you know, we were exposed to certain things, like not trying to like trauma compare or anything. But Gen Z was just like exposed to so many things at such an early age. Like,
well,
you know, pornography, you know, like all, it's so prevalent, and like predators are so prevalent online. And like, if I see kids on Instagram, Facebook, anything, like YouTube, TikTok, like I immediately report it. I get them taken down. I don't think children should be on the internet. I think you should be 18 years old when you get to use social media. I think it's dangerous, and I think it's perpetuating disgusting values, and I think that people rely on it too often and too much. It's a great tool for, you know, networking, decompressing if you want to consume some content, but people are, you know, like, I don't want to see 13-year-olds on TikTok where grown, disgusting adults who are attracted to minor people are doing and consuming that content. That's exactly who it is. Like moms posting videos of their babies in bath time. Oh my God, that went viral. Why do you think it went viral?
Yeah.
Because there are disgusting people online.
Yeah.
You know, it's not all moms watching your kid, and you know that.
Yeah.
Like, I think children should have the same autonomy of, they don't understand the internet. They don't understand that when they post this video, it's going to happen. Like, I saw a video of an 11-year-old girl who was coerced by a 40-year-old man to send pictures of herself to him, private pictures of herself to him. When the father called the law, they said, we're going to have to arrest your daughter. She's distributing CP. And he's like, are you kidding me right now? She's a child. She was groomed by a man to do this, you know? And like, it was... And like the officers were like, sorry, this is state law. Like, you know, she was distributing it. She's guilty. In what world?
She was charged with it?
I think they ended up, I don't know if they ended up charging them or not. I just watched like the ring footage of like the cops coming in and being like, we got to take her in, but it's just like things like that. Like we have to protect the children, especially now that like things are so prevalent.
Yeah.
And things are so accessible. And if I have a child, I will not let them use technology until they understand, like, this is what's on there and this is what you can find. And if you want to explore, that's fine, like, you know, whatever. But like, I need you to understand that like, these are the repercussions. 'Cause like, I know so many people who were affected, like as young girls, young boys, whatever, and like and kids sending pictures of themselves to each other too. Like that's the thing. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's gross, but that's the thing that's happening. And like, I remember girls getting their nude pictures getting spread around school. Like they're distributing child porn, like CP.
Yeah.
Like it's so gross. Like how there's not more precautions taken, and nobody wants to talk about it.
Well, I think that there's definitely gonna be like people and the infrastructure that we have in place. It takes time for us to catch up to the technology. Certainly, I think there are efforts being made, and I furthermore think that children are not to say that they should have like, carte blanche on the internet or anything, but I do think there's a value in having children understand the technology because they tend to be much better
Oh,
at
yeah.
navigating it than
Like-
people from previous generations.
So, for example, I went to a charter school that was like a school of technology, and like we had our own netbooks, and we learned how to use Excel. We learned how to use everything, and we also learned like how to navigate the internet. We had the seminars about like don't talk to random people online because they'll try to kidnap you, but they didn't have the seminars about don't share pictures of yourself and don't do this, and if somebody's an adult and they're talking to you online, like that's not okay. Like there's a whole different like there's an entire different realm of the P word of like people who are attracted to children and people who are consuming that content. There is a whole different realm,
Right.
because of the internet. And if it's not brought to light, if it's not talked about, then it's going to be too late. Like there's so many, like I watched another documentary of this guy that like infiltrated this people who are attracted to minor children website on the dark. It wasn't even on the dark web. And the disgusting things that he found, he went in there and got IP addresses, actual addresses, names, date of birth. Like he got all this information for thousands and thousands of people online who are spreading the CP. And he was charged for going on there. And they didn't take any of the evidence. They didn't do anything with it. They just charged him and arrested him for being on that site.
That's wild.
And he was only there to capture all those guys. I mean, he gave them loads of evidence and they did nothing. That's wrong. That's
Yeah.
wrong to me. He did like a whole thing about it. And it's sorry, not to get on like such a dark topic, but it's like it's one of those topics that nobody wants to talk about because it's so dark and it's so uncomfortable and it's hard to talk about, but it's like it's happening.
Yeah.
And it's happening so frequently and everywhere, and it's disgusting, and I wish it would stop.
Yeah, it's definitely like an aspect that's going to be there that needs to be handled. I think that we will catch up on that side of it. I think that like, but I've talked to like my 16-year-old nephew who's on the platforms and stuff like that. And what I've found about that generation is that they are much more adept to handling whatever issues, like, because they're better able to tell, what the scams look like, what the fake accounts look like. They can see the signs
what a bot
better.
account is, yeah.
Yeah. Whereas like, you think about like your grandparent who gets scammed by the Nigerian prince on the emails.
Exactly.
Like we look at that and we're like, that's dumb. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
But like they don't know that, right? It's the same way that I look at things now. I'm probably better than most people that aren't on TikTok and Instagram, which I use the platforms a lot. But like an average person, let's say like in their 40s or something, that doesn't know these platforms, that sees stuff, is like, this is happening. Well, like my 16-year-old nephew might be like, yeah, but that's not even real, dude. No one's, you know what I mean? So I think there's a value in having children understand the platform so they understand what to look out for, you know, letting them know what the dangers are. So I don't know. I think that, and every generation has their version of that thing.
Yeah, for sure. I remember like, I'm sorry, I totally lost my train of thought. I had it, and it was there.
It's all good.
And I don't think it was a good thought anyway. It wasn't worth talking about. So.
But either way, every generation has their version of that thing, So it's just a matter of like understanding how to navigate it, and the less access we give children, the less adept they become at navigating those things,
Well, I'm not saying like not give them access to, like the skills necessary online and like not teach them how to navigate, but just like keep them off of social media. They do not need to be on social media. I think like, or maybe if like, social media was just better about like knowing who is on their platforms, but I guess that like breaches privacy, but privacy is not even going to, I have a theory that privacy is not going to be a thing within the next like 20 years. Everything's going to be out, and it's going to get to a point again where like we just respect each other's privacy, because everything's going to be out there. So you might as well just like respect, just shield your eyes, don't look. You know, kind of thing.
Isn't Elon Musk working on that, like that Neuralink or
like
something?
the IntelliLink? Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of here for it because as a vocalist, language and speech is so convoluted. Like the process in which I have a thought and now I have to form it into words to then describe it to you so then that you can hear it and try to imagine it, but so much gets lost in translation.
Right.
You know, whereas I could just like, and just show you what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with like different languages. Like, you know, there are phrases and words in like Japanese that we don't have. You know, there are sounds in German in letters that we don't have, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's like, there was an unpopular opinion that I had on the podcast, like a long time, like one of the earlier ones. And it was like being that like language is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
Because there's so much, like you're saying, gets lost in translation. And I think that, people can also use it to manipulate, and you know, like, you watch it with politicians all the time, where they word things a certain kind of way, and if you're not paying attention, it can sound real good until you start to really see what they're leaving out and what they're leaving in, and you're like, this is very broad language, and it allows a lot of weird shit to go down.
Now that's a great question. I love America.
Yeah.
And, you know, we should bring down taxes. Like, it's just all that we should bring down taxes.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, that, because, you know, I think it's just so interesting, that thought of being able just like to clearly convey ideas, you know, just like without any issue.
But isn't there like also like a benefit to not to harboring some information?
Yeah.
Like, you know, when you're negotiating things, or sometimes there's just I can't.
But
think
again, that's like manipulation tactic, right?
Right, but I don't always think it's a bad thing, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's good to kind of keep.
So I guess
some
this is where you
information.
can like get into ethics, because it's like it might not necessarily be a bad thing for you,
Right.
you know, but you're keeping. But like, I don't know if it's like a business deal. Like you're keeping this one thing from this guy to let him know, like, you know, oh, I wanted to buy my building, and I'm not going to tell him that, you know, the furnace has probably got like 2 years left on it before it has to be replaced, and that's going to be $250,000. Well, I'm going to charge him, you know.
Yeah. So,
you know,
so that's one angle, but then there could be like another angle where maybe it's like it's you know, an interpersonal relationship or whatever, and you're talking to somebody about a genuine concern that you have, but maybe you have like another angle that you're working also. It doesn't delegitimize the concern that you have, but if they're aware of the full scope, then it might make them think that you're only working this other angle, even though both things can be true at the same time, right?
Oh my God. Okay. Literally that line, but two things can be true at the same time. That has been like my mantra for like the last 6 months, like just like two things can be true at the same time. Like that's so crazy. Sorry, I love when like the universe like does stuff like that. Yeah. I love when like things connect like that.
But it's true though. I mean, just because one thing is true doesn't mean the other one doesn't negate
false.
the other thing. You know.
Yeah.
Let's hit some unpopular opinions.
Okay.
Chris, what you got for us this week?
Music production should be taught in schools alongside like classical band classes.
I actually went to a school that did that.
I had one in high school. They had one class like my senior year that did that, but I think it should be like, I know that's like a magnet school thing, but it should be the norm, because like so many kids, you're trying to get them into music, you're doing this like really old school way of playing music in the grand scheme of things. But I feel like if you were teaching like production classes, like how to make a beat or how to use recording stuff, like they would be, because that's what's relevant now, like they and you might hook kids into like this being an artist, or at least being around art a little more than just like, here, play this 1800s piece of music.
Well, no, I disagree a little. Well, no, I agree that they should still have that music production, like modern music, should be a thing in schooling. but I disagreed that we should get rid of the classical
No
traditional.
getting rid of side by side.
Cool, side by side. Yes,
Both
I
things
agree
can
because I
exist,
had
right?
Yeah,
because
like
two
an-
things can two things
Like
can
an
be true at the
8A
same
B day
time.
kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah,
one day you
exactly.
because like they teach different skills. Like playing in an ensemble teaches you like how to blend
Yes,
with people.
exactly.
Like
Yep.
and there's like a history element. Like it's super important.
Yeah.
But I know that so many people, even when I was in school, like people didn't relate to that. Like they were in band, but it wasn't their thing. They were just kind of there.
But the things that you learn from being in those ensembles and being, because I would not be the musician I am today if it wasn't for my classical training.
Yeah.
Learning because now, okay, so I spent all that time learning, to sing in Baroque Italian, German, Chinese, Portuguese, Indonesian, Spanish, like literally name it, I've probably sang in it. So all that in Latin, all that time learning all these different languages, it's so prevalent now, and I love that I did it because now I can listen to like my favorite anime song and learn it phonetically perfectly.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too, is if you can translate the words, then you can really get an insight to how the culture
Exactly.
understands the world around them.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
how they do poetry too, and like just the music is so different. But also like the school I graduated from Harrison School for the Arts in Jacksonville, Florida, and we actually had. Basically, I didn't make it, but like I took like a free studies class, and we had a composition teacher, and so he taught us how to use like finale and all that to do to make compositions, and like then at the very end of the year, he would have one class about like music production, so like we'd use GarageBand, and he'd show us how to do that, and I was like, well, can I did piano since I was 5 years old. Like, I don't want to take piano. Can I just like have a free study? And then I just take all my classical pieces that I wrote and put it into GarageBand and create like music production, like different sounds. And he was like, yeah, sure. So basically like I would just, each week I'd just come on and work on a project, and I'd get to like, take a piece that I wrote in finale, and then I would like remix it in GarageBand. Like I would add bass and dubstep it, basically put stops and do all that kind of stuff. And as long as I turned something in, he gave me an A. But it was really cool, and I think that there should definitely be more of that. As like, I think it would be cool to incorporate it. Like the first semester, do, like I said, composition, learning to create the music, learning to write the music, the theory behind the music, and then after you've created it, then take it and put the it'd be cool if you can incorporate the like orchestra kids or chorus kids, musical theater, whoever, to have the sheet music, have them sing it, perform it, and you record it and then remix it. You could have so many different classes with that. I think that'd be sick.
And like that's the thing, is like you're always working on performance and stuff. Like there's not like a real creativity in that, other like expression and like how you play the music. Sure, that's one thing, but in terms of like blank creation, you get that in like an art class maybe, but like musically, it'd be cool to foster that early on.
Yeah, it's like they'll have like one project that you'll be able to like create something. Like I've had a couple like vocal tech classes or AP music theory or something like that, where like we would have a project where we would have to create a song. But the composition class was probably where like we would do most of the creations. Yeah. Everybody said my stuff sounded like Twilight. I was like,
really?
thank you. Yeah.
It's so funny.
And they hated that every single time. They're like, because I always write in a minor key and gave it a Picardy third. That was like my touch. That was my signature, right? And every time I'd make this beautiful, like long minor piece, and then at the end I'd just like, and major one. Yeah. And every time, like, they would get so pissed off. They're like, why can't you just leave it minor? Why? And I'm like, because it's got to have a hopeful ending, you know? It's got to, it's so sad. It's got to have a hopeful ending. And so I used to,
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I think they should. They
call
should
me
include
Duval
it.
County. I'm coming.
Call me Duval County. I'm coming.
After all the shit you've talked about their transit, shit.
Two things can be true.
Yeah.
Your trains can suck and your schools can get better. That's all.
That's going to be the title of this podcast. Both things can be true.
Two things can be true.
Yeah, two things can be true. Cool. So what you got, Madison, from Popular Opinions?
Can we come back to me?
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
No problem. Okay, so there's two here that I kind of like, but I'm gonna go with my instinct on here. I think we need to give flat earthers more of a platform because part of my favorite part of the day is going on TikTok and just watching these people just debunk these fucking morons, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're on flat Earth talk.
yeah. Dude, these people are so stupid. I mean, so stupid.
Yeah.
The shit that they say is just
I'm a flat
stupid.
earther. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Case in point.
Case in point. No.
Yeah, no. I can't with these people, dude. But I also want to hear more of it because it's so stupid.
So funny. It's like it's a joke at this point. You know what I mean?
People are making
Well, not to some people.
yeah, people are making real careers out of this. This one guy named Flat Earth Dave.
How do you
who's
know
a-
they're not trolling?
Flat Earth Dave.
Some of them definitely are, and some of them are not. And then you have some people, and then there's like even famous. Like, you guys know the rapper B.O.B.
Yeah.
Love him.
Yeah, me too. But he is also a flat earther.
No,
he
he's not.
literally invested like $200,000. This is like 5 years ago, maybe longer. Like $200,000 to a satellite, which they don't even believe in, right? To make a satellite to go up into space to prove, which they also don't believe in, right? To prove that the Earth is flat, and I've not seen anything come of that. Here's the other part of it, though, is that a lot of it's not even the idea of the flat Earth so much as it is just we've been lied to about everything. So if we've been lied to about everything, then why would we believe the Earth is round? And they always point to all this ancient stuff. Well, the Egyptians knew the Earth was flat, and I was like, dude, they didn't have technology to like understand
They
things
wiped
back
their
then.
ass with sand, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's just, I can't stand these people, but it is really funny to watch actual scientists just level their entire
Yeah.
philosophy.
Yeah, I saw an article that
No pun intended.
real good there. buddy.
No, intend that pun. That was freaking hilarious.
Well, you know what? It was intended.
It
Fuck
was
you
intended.
guys.
Yeah.
Dad jokes are back in. Get off my ass.
No, they are.
I saw an article where it was like flat earther thought that the end of the flatness, the end of it was like off the coast of Sicily. So they like sailed off the coast and then were disappointed when they like
Kept going.
found something else after that. I'm like,
No,
just like
I'm pretty positive that's like what Christopher Columbus's thing was like. Whole thing's I can sail around the world. I'm either going to sail around the world or fall off the edge of it. And he thought
Yeah.
he sailed all the way around when he got to is it Cuba the first time? I think he was in
the
Cuba.
Caribbean.
Yeah, he was in the Caribbean the first time. And that's why the indigenous people were called Indians, because he thought he was in India.
Yeah.
Like he thought he had sailed all the way around and gone to India.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoops. And that's why, yeah.
And but here's the thing. They also believe in the ice wall, which is what keeps
All the
everything
water in.
Yeah. It's like Antarctica is really just a big wall of ice that surrounds the whole flat Earth.
Right.
And then you hear some people where it's more of like an astral plane or something, where it's not even physical.
Yeah.
It's just like an energy field, and you're like, okay, dude, then like nothing is real. Then we're all just and it's like then you can make that point, but we live in the physical world, so
I do
physically
think that
it
we're in a
is.
simulation, like 100%.
You think so? I don't know anything about that, to be honest with you.
We can talk about it after the podcast because I got some stories I can tell you.
Yeah.
About like just my experience with certain, just seeing some stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's not a simulation of like what we understand simulation to be, but like the chance that we're just like on some kid's shelf in a jar. Or like on a speck of dust. Like Horton Hears a Who messed me up as a child. I was like, what a word is a speck on a flower? And, that's a whole universe. But, yeah.
I mean, definitely could be a simulation. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've heard that theory and I haven't
I've
done
heard it's
anything.
like more possible that we are a simulation than we
Than
aren't.
not, yeah.
I heard that's like that. There's a statistical probability that we are more likely to be a simulation than we actually aren't.
Yeah.
So...
Well, if that's the case, then it doesn't really matter, I guess, because
Yeah.
we're all still here
No,
existing.
but that's So I guess my unpopular opinion is more of an unpopular theory. I love that you brought up the Egyptians. I think that music and sound, levitation, was way more utilized in the past than it was. If you like, I'm sure you can find videos of like dudes, they'll have like 10 didgeridoos and they're like moving stuff and lifting stuff with it.
Yeah.
So I think that, with the help of a didgeridoo-esque type instrument, that we were able to manipulate vibrations and sounds and move stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I've also seen some stuff where like seismologists, I think is what they're called, when they measure the vibrations of the earth and earthquakes and stuff like that. They went to like these ancient ruins, which are like, you go there and it's just like basically like a foundation of a town, and he like brought his machine and like literally like stepping off the foundation to stepping onto the foundation of the sound, the vibrations are completely different. And he's like, you can physically feel the difference in vibrations. And when you zoom out on the foundation of like the town or city, wherever it is, it creates these symmetrical spiral patterns and like these symmetrical patterns that are typically what you see. Like if you pour powder or water or something on a speaker and you hear certain tones and vibrations, it's the same type of symmetrical patterns. So it's like, is it magic? Is it not? What is it? And, so I guess that's my
Unpopular opinion.
Yeah, the like
that
music, sound is used. Sounds and vibrations are used way more in our history.
Yeah, it could be
than we think, and that like we talk about.
It definitely could be. I think that the idea of ancient civilizations being more technologically advanced than what we think.
Yeah.
And just using different technologies. That's very possible.
Because obviously, like, if we have a nuclear war and we die out, somebody's going to find a CD and be like, what is this?
Right.
Or they're not going to have the technology to have it,
or they don't, or just nature eradicates, everything. And there's like only,
it's all buried. You can't find it.
And there's just like very limited access. So you would think that we were also an unevolved civilization, because whatever technology we had was just totally eroded and gone after X amount of time. Yep. Then there's this thing down in Miami called Coral Castle, and one guy supposedly built it, and it was built pretty quickly. But these pieces of coral were like huge, and there's like reports. I think this is like back in the 60s. I forget exactly. There's like reports of people seeing him working on the castle just like by himself though, and this thing just seemingly going up like very quickly. And some people have speculated that he said that he used the technology of the Egyptians to make it happen.
It's sound levitation, man. I'm telling you.
It could be. I don't know. But then you have
you.
depictions in the hieroglyphics that are like, where you see them
they're
working.
blowing on those huge horns. You see it all the time of like them blowing on those big horns.
Right, but it could just be like, war calls or something, or
I think that it was. I think it was like I think they used different instruments for different things, and I think that like the bigger the instrument that they were playing is like they were moving stuff. And how do you know they weren't using them to like do like big blast shots to the enemy or something? You never know, or like shake the ground beneath them. Like the people, like the trumpets of Jericho. Or is that what it is? The trumpets of Jericho.
Is the walls?
The walls of Jericho came tumbling down with like the trumpets, right? Like I believe that they could do that. I believe that they could use sound and like crumble things to the ground.
Oh, definitely using sound as defense. We do that today with the military.
Yeah, like they'll sit there and like have those big things. Like if you stand behind it, you hear nothing. But if you're within like 30 yards and within its like range, like you were paralyzed by the sound.
We even did it. That's like
I have a screenplay that has those elements in it. Actually.
Oh, really?
I've been writing it for like years.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's also
we'll talk about it one day.
Yeah. There's also like we did like on a much less advanced level where they used like you guys familiar with Noriega, the drug lord in was it like Panama or I forget which one of the Central American countries. Anyways, the CIA used we invaded. He wouldn't come out of his home, So we like put these big speakers and just blasted heavy metal music.
Oh my God, I'm
out front
so
of his house
dead.
for like, I don't know, 72 hours or
Oh my
something
God,
until he
I
eventually
can't.
came out and was like, okay, I'm done.
I'm done. I can't.
So it's like sound is definitely
Jokes
still
on
used.
them. I love heavy metal. So
But like coming out of a wall of speakers for like 3 days straight.
I lived with a drummer. I could handle it.
Yeah. It's like, so I definitely think the sound has been used for things over the course of history. I the more angles that I hear, because I try and like listen to the more alternative ideas, of course, but then also I want to keep in mind the mainstream ideas as well, because there's always because every time the alternative side says something about like they just don't want to, it's just this disrupts the status quo,
Yeah.
so that's why they don't want to talk about it. And then you hear what mainstream scientists are saying. It's like, no, we literally have
We have
no
that
proof
theory too,
that
but
that
yeah.
or just we have no proof that that thing actually exists, and we have proof to say that this is actually what happened.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't have any evidence that that was a thing.
Right.
But
So-
we do have this physical evidence right here. So
Right. So that's why I'm kind of hesitant to fully jump on board
Mm-hmm.
with some of the theories about that. That being said, it's fun to entertain, and I
Yeah.
mean, I can't take like a real stance on anything when it comes
Yeah.
to that, you know. So I'm just like,
oh, I have a better unpopular opinion. I'm gonna give you two. Okay.
what's that? Yeah.
Ringo Starr
Mm-hmm.
is the original punk and one of the world's best drummers.
That's
I will
certainly
die on that
unpopular.
hill.
You can take this one, Anton.
I will die on that hill.
I mean, you know that he didn't even play on those records,
Yes,
right?
he did. You liar. That is. It is.
We can
that
pull
is a
up the
lie.
credits.
Yeah,
That is-
Bernard Purdie was on some of those early records.
Okay, some of the early records, but when did they get popular?
Pretty fucking early.
1960. They got popular, like really, like they got known around the world in 1962, and then they came to America in '64, and then that's when they fucking just blew up like crazy.
I think Ringo is one of the best drummers. Watch Dave Grohl talk about Ringo Starr.
Okay, here's what I'll give you about Ringo, and this is like the Beatles are my favorite band of all time. Okay,
too.
so Ringo was creative with his ideas in the way that he approached writing on the drums and like writing parts. That being said, there's a reason why Ringo Starr and the All-Star Band have another drummer all the time, right? and like probably some of that is so that he can step away and just like perform, right? But also part of it is like he's very limited in what he can actually do on the drums.
I don't know, man. Like Ringo, just there was something about him. He just was so loose, and
Yeah,
it
very
sounds
loose.
so simple. But no, he never used a metronome. He didn't need one.
I
We could
know,
tell.
Yeah.
No, oh my gosh, no, you
Yeah,
guys.
you're right.
He talks about this, and like he didn't like that because he couldn't play to it. That's why, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he didn't need to.
No,
he was
he-
perfect.
He should have.
He was perfect. No, watching him perform though is like, especially early on too. He, like I said, is the original punk. Like he's standing up at his kit, knocking his kit down, like going fucking crazy for do up. I wanna hold your hand.
Yeah.
Like he's going absolutely insane, you know. And he also was like, if you were in London in like the early 50s, probably would have like most likely would have been stabbed by him in an dark alleyway. Like he was a gangster.
Some
He was.
Ringo allegations. up
No,
there.
he was. No, he was a gangster. He talked about it. Like
Ringo's-
he was like a thug. Like he, you know, and he even talked about it in an interview one time where he was like, yeah, like I don't understand, you know, the whatever they called them, like the pickpockets or whatever they called them these days, because they're sitting there hurting women and children and old people. And he's like, no, like you rob the successful rich man. Like you leave women and kids out of it. He's like, if we found out that you hurt a woman and kid, like everybody from every gang would show up and just like absolutely mess you up. You know what I mean? Make sure you never do that again. Like, you know, they were gangs and they were gangsters, but like they had class. You know, he
Equality,
talked about-
though, right? Like,
Yeah.
if there's rich businesswomen out there that deserve to be robbed from. It's 2023. Please don't be so close.
Oh yeah, sorry. I don't need to be so sexist and close-minded. You're right.
The ethics of thieves.
The
I love
ethic.
it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. I do love Ringo Starr.
Love him.
But I don't think he's anywhere near the greatest drummer of all time.
The Beatles wouldn't have been what they were without him. So
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He did exactly what he needed to do for the Beatles. You know what I mean? He stayed right there in the pocket. He gave a little bit of oomph, and he did. I don't know. I think that's what makes him such a great drummer. Is like he stayed in the pocket, but also wasn't scared to get out of it and do something cool too.
Yeah.
Make it its own part. You know?
he was creative for sure.
Sometimes he turned his pocket inside out. It's fine.
Nice.
Sometimes you drop the pocket. No.
All right. Well, Madison, thank you so much for being
Thank you
on
for
today.
having me.
Absolutely.
I hope I can come again. This was so much
for
fun.
sure. Anytime. All right, guys. Thanks for
Nice.
Nice.
thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.